This is something that I've seen on Reddit, Facebook, Twitter. A lot of people saying that Spellbreak should have never been a BR, saying that BR is what killed the game. Some people say, oh, the days of BRs are gone. BRs are a thing of the past. Gone are the days of RNG dropping in from the sky and one winner victory royales. I don't think Proletariat made a mistake by making Spellbreak a BR. And a lot of the sentiments against Spellbreak, I feel like that's just a personal thing, because I know BRs isn't everybody's cup of tea. And yes, BRs have peaked. Don't get me wrong, they've peaked, right? They've peaked, but just because a genre or a game has peaked doesn't mean it's dead per se, right? And so this isn't like completely like just my opinion. I want to just put some numbers on the board. And like one of the best ways to see like if BRs are still in favor or still popular is by looking at player base, right? That's one thing that you can do. And Steam is one of those avenues because it lets you know how many people are playing. And one thing I've noticed, it's usually like 2 or 3 BRs nowadays that are in the top 10 most played categories, right? It's usually PUBG and Apex are in the top 10. Sometimes they're even in the top 3, right? And one thing I want to notice is in the top 10 most popular games, there's also like there's probably like what 4 or 5 shooters. And the fact that you have 2 BRs that are part of that conversation of shooters speaks volumes, right? But even Steam itself isn't like the best way to gauge interest, just because it only accounts for PCs, and it doesn't even account for all PC gamers, right? It accounts for a good chunk of PC gamers, but not all of them. There's still consoles, there's still the Epic Games. It doesn't account for Fortnite, and it doesn't also account for consoles. So how do we account for those, right? That's the question. You can look at Twitch, but Twitch isn't really all that great for player base. I'm really about to die to this bot. Let me focus up real quick. All right, where are you at? Oh my goodness. But like I was saying, Twitch isn't like the best way of determining like player numbers, player base, or even player interest. I think there's another website and resource that people can use to determine interest that's even better than Twitch, in my opinion, and that's Google Trends. Because if people are Googling a game, that means if a lot of people are Googling a game, I should say, then there's interest in there, right? And I've been doing some like Google Trend looks, and to my surprise, Warzone and Apex are actually handling their own when it comes to being searched and in interest from people. Like they're going toe for toe, tit for tat with the likes of like League of Legends, right? Which is arguably like one of the biggest games to ever come out. And I purposely didn't include Fortnite because Fortnite is so dumb big. Fortnite just eclipsed League of Legends and it's ridiculous. And then there's also PUBG, which isn't really all that popular in America, but worldwide, I'll tell you something. PUBG worldwide is something else. PUBG just dwarfs even League of Legends too. So even though like these games have reached their peaks, even though they are BRs, just because they reach their peaks doesn't mean like people aren't playing them anymore, right? So the idea that, oh, no one wants to play a BR anymore, I think we can safely say is not true, right? Because not only are they like some of the most popular shooters, they are also some of the most popular, like it's still one of the most popular genres till this day. And there's another idea of like, okay, BRs, but those are like maybe not the newest BRs, which I kind of disagree with. Naraka Blade is kind of new. Yes, Naraka Blade isn't popular in America. It's very popular in a lot of Asian countries. That's for sure, right? But it's not popular in America. And Naraka Blade is a new BR. And Warzone isn't really all that old of a BR either. Like I think like Call of Duty kind of came in late, but they still found a lot of success. So those are two like quote unquote newish BRs. And then like when you say new BR games, you also have to compare a game like Spellbreak maybe to like new games in general, right? Because the argument is no one wants to play a new BR. So I looked at like some of the multiplayer games that were also announced at the Gamescom 2020. Spellbreak held the most amount of interest, and it was one of the only BRs that was announced as well. So that as well, if you compare the idea of like, okay, no one wants to play a new BR, I don't think that's agreeable. That's too agreeable either, in a way. And don't get me wrong, I think that there's room for other game modes, right? But the issue is sometimes like some of the game modes that people suggest I just don't see them being successful for long term. Like TDM, capture the flag. It's nice to have those game modes, and even other BR companies are doing that too. BR games, right? Battle Royale games are doing that as well. They're incorporating different game modes. Like you can see with Apex, they have limited time game modes. They have ranked arenas. Warzone has like Rebirth Island. They have a whole mess of other stuff, right? I'm not too sure if PUBG has other game modes because I don't really follow PUBG like that. And then Fortnite. Fortnite transcends BRs, honestly. Fortnite has everything. Fortnite's more like Roblox than anything else, right? But my issue is with those kind of game modes is that they can get stale, right, real fast. Like when it comes to creativity, you have so much more creativity expression that you can display in a BR than versus like a capture the flag or a TDM. Don't get me wrong, those I can still see them. I can still see a place for them in other genres or in the BR genre or like as a supplement game mode. But I just don't see it being like the de facto game mode, right? Oh, this guy got the schmovement. This man got the schmovement. 69, nice. Nice. Oh, back to back. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Uh-oh. Calm down, Playboy. Slow it down. Slow it down. That was kind of nice. That was kind of hot. Well, yeah, but now that we've talked about like that, what were some of the issues in Spellbreak, right? That's the question. And there were a lot. Like, for example, on release, there was only like one game mode for BR, and that was, I believe, squads. And that was for like about a week or two. And then they slowly rolled out the other BR game modes. And it was just, if you were someone who played this game since alpha or beta, nothing new came into Spellbreak, basically. Like the cosmetics, even the cosmetics that we had were kind of bland. It was just an issue of content, updates. There was a few bit of hackers. There weren't that many hackers. One thing I could give Proletariat props is how they handled hackers, right? Like we had the hackers for a good maybe, I want to say 2 weeks, and then they handled it pretty well, right? The way they handled the whole hacking situation. But there was also the whole like bugs with aim assist where people borderline had aimbot because they could like readjust their aim assist settings, and it was frustrating with lightning, right? And that's another thing I have to say, like with those issues, especially with desync as well, those will like plague any game, not whether if it's a BR or not. Like if Spellbreak was a capture the flag game mode or TDM, right, that would be very frustrating to go against. You know what's more annoying than dying once to someone who was abusing the lightning bug or the aim assist bug? Dying once, dying 20 times in a team deathmatch, constantly getting zap over and over again because someone's abusing the whole aim assist bugs. That will be so much more annoying in the TDM or in the capture the flag kind of thing, in my opinion. And we also didn't have a battle pass for a while either. I'm not done talking. I kind of want to have this match last for a little bit longer. Ah, I thought I had that spring stepper. Okay, maybe I'm playing around too much. I think I am. Because I still want to win this game. There's also no battle pass. All right, there we go. We won our game. Let's go. Woo, that was spicy. But yeah, I'm not even done talking yet. There was like no real progression system either, no rank. None of that stuff either to complement the creativity that Spellbreak had. There was a lot of like supporting features that other games had that Spellbreak didn't had, and I think that was one of the reasons why Spellbreak had retention issues, because there was a lot of like supporting elements that you see in other games, like a rank system, a legit battle pass. We didn't get like a legit good battle pass until chapter 2, in my opinion, right? And those little things, like, yeah, you can ignore one or two quality of life things, but other companies won't. And that's the thing. If you're in a competition, you have to think about what your competition is doing. Because at the end of the day, people just don't play one game. People play multiple games. And eventually, if one game's doing something that you're not doing, people are going to gravitate to that game. Like I said, with the updates, it took them weeks to put out updates. And there's other aspects of Spellbreak that I think are more valid as to why it didn't succeed rather than it just being a BR, right? There were other things such as the fact that it's projectile based. I don't know too many projectile based games that are very popular, right? Yes, we have some hit scan weapons that are borderline hit scan. Like lightning is definitely borderline hit scan. When it's hit scan at certain distances, and ice is sort of kind of hit scan. It's ice is more like a fast projectile, but it's still kind of hit scan. And yeah, you can like say Overwatch and Paladins, but Overwatch and Paladins have a lot more hit scan weapons than projectiles. Yes, they have some projectile weapons, but it's mainly hit scans from what I've played of Paladins at least. So I think that's another thing that you can say that kind of hurt the massive appeal of Spellbreak. I still think they can make that whole projectile aspect work in the game as well. They should bring back Clash. Yeah, Clash was nice, but again, the whole issue with Clash is, I mean, I guess they can make it work. Like Clash as an LTM could work. I made a video about LTMs as well. Well, I talked about LTMs in my previous Spellbreak video, which you guys can watch as well. And another issue with Spellbreak was levitation. The proletariat could just never really figure out what to do with levitation. Because I personally love Chapter 1 levitation, but levitation added another degree of difficulty that maybe wasn't all that necessary. Like in alpha, there was no levitation, and people loved it back then as well. They loved the game Spellbreak without levitation. Levitation just added unnecessary difficulty in the game, in my opinion. You can still have aerial combat with sorceries, with runes. But you don't really need levitation, in my opinion, to have aerial combats. In my opinion, it just adds unnecessary difficulty in the game. Oh, levitation being tied to mana was a big issue too. Yeah, levitation being tied to mana was also something that the community has been asking as well. But like I said, Spellbreak still needs other game modes. I don't think it was a mistake that they focused on BR. And BR was definitely not the reason why Spellbreak died. There was a lot of reasons. Like I mentioned, they didn't have a lot of supporting features that other BR games had. When people say BRs are saturated, one thing you got to realize is that there's like 30 new games that come out on Steam every single day. There's like 20 well-built shooters that come out every single day that people just don't know about because it's just that saturated. Like gaming in general is very saturated. Making games is very hard. And just to say a game failed just because it was in a BR genre where there's a lot of other successful games that were able to come up in this genre is just false, in my opinion, and whatnot. But let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.